Hello everybody, Kris Gethin here and welcome to another episode of the Knowledge and Mileage podcast. Now, just before I was starting this, Sunshine said, what are you going to talk about? I'm like, what else am I going to talk about other than the coronavirus? That's what everybody's talking about. It's crazy. Now, it's something that I try to avoid in conversation when I see people because I'm just overwhelmed with it. However, I want to address it on this podcast. I can't ignore it. I can't deny it. And I want to go through some tips, 20 I have here actually, on what you can do during this epidemic time. Because a lot of people have been quarantined, like every single one of the Kris Gethin gyms in India are closed now because we want to look after people's safety. Obviously, you know, I'm sure there's a lot of healthy people that go to our gym, but we don't want those healthy people to be carriers and transport the coronavirus to people who have vulnerable immune systems. So we've closed all of them down. So I'm going through some stress myself. So I'm doing whatever I can to mitigate my stress levels by staying away from media and trying to avoid the conversation. However, I do understand that I have a platform to help so many people. So I've been doing so on my YouTube, on my personal website, healthkick.com, and now to you guys here as the listener and viewer of the Knowledge and Mileage podcast. So I'm going to go straight into these tips and I'm going to blast through them so you can make some notes as we go along. And of course, if you want to read all these tips, you can go to my show notes where I also have all the links to everything that I'm going to be talking about today, and obviously the links to our sponsors as well, so you can get those pretty badass discounts that they give to our listeners. So number one, quarantine. I've had so many people say, hey Kris, should I go to the gym? Should I go out? Should I do this? I'm like, guys, that is entirely your decision. I can only encourage you to stay at home and have as little contact with people that you know, or elderly people, or people that are frail, that have compromised immune systems, because a lot of us are healthy and we would never get the side effects from this virus for us to understand or realize or acknowledge that we are possibly sick. You know, some people have got like a higher temperature than normal, but sometimes that's pretty much it, and they would never know. However, they could be a potential carrier and give it to somebody else. So my word of advice is, yeah, if you can quarantine yourself, then possibly do that. Try to have as little contact with people as you possibly can to ensure that it isn't carried to you, to another one of your family members, or some stranger off the street that is a mother, a father, a grandparent of somebody else. Number two, have a food delivery service. In this day and age, which is unbelievable compared to like 5, 6, 7 years ago, there was no such thing as food delivery services. Now we have that available to us, so we don't have to go to the grocery store. I don't, certainly, because I have all my food sent to me from Nutrition Solutions, as I have done for the past 5 years, so it's no different to me anyway. This Wednesday, actually tomorrow, I'll have my food delivered to me, which is healthy, high protein meals to allow me to continue with my goals without me having to go to the supermarket and rub shoulders with other people going crazy over a toilet roll. Anyway, I also have some of my organ meat and meat produce sent to me by a local company called Cunningham Meats, which send me grass-fed, humane-raised foods. And obviously I try to stay as clean as I possibly can with my foods to ensure that my immune system isn't compromised. Now, when we're coming to supplementation, this will be point number 3. Sorry, that was the computer making a noise. Number 3 is supplementation. So obviously if you are eating very, very well, then supplements can help you. If you're eating shit, if you're having vegetable oils, if you're eating fast food, then supplements aren't probably going to help you that much. Supplements are just that. They supplement your lifestyle, which should be clean and strict and militant. Vitamin C can obviously help. That's a great antioxidant. Glutathione is a master antioxidant. So I actually have IV glutathione and vitamin C, but of course you can take it through supplementation as well. So everybody's different. Some people take 500 milligrams, some people take 1,000, 2,000, 3,000. I take about 3,000 milligram of vitamin C daily minimum. And I'll actually, if you cannot have the IV glutathione, then you can take like a liposomal glutathione from a company like Quicksilver Scientific or something like that. By the way, I'm not sponsored or connected to these companies whatsoever. And essential amino acids, like you can see if you're viewing this, I have my essential amino acids, my amino synergy, and I have fermented glutamine in my gallon or half-gallon jug here. Because I want to ensure that I'm keeping my glutamine and essential amino acid levels topped up. Because I am an active individual, I am working that out, I am breaking down muscle tissue and utilizing the most abundant amino acid known to the human body, which is glutamine. So I keep those levels topped up. Number 4, try to eat organic, humane raised, grass-fed, wild caught whenever possible. It's so funny that I still get hate to this day from people saying organic really isn't organic, grass-fed isn't really grass-fed, wild caught isn't really wild caught. Well, get this, we've actually had produce tested. Okay, if you look at the nutritional facts of, like, say, a wild caught salmon to farm salmon, the farm salmon has higher levels of omega-6 fatty acids, so could be pro-inflammatory, lower levels of omega-3s, yet higher in calories. So how can you actually say it's the same? It is crazy. If you are having like industrialized farmed cows that are fed grain, they're fed antibiotics, it doesn't have the same nutritional profile as one that grows up on a farm and pasture raised and grass fed. It just doesn't. Like, I grew up on a farm, guys. I know this. I've seen this shit for myself. I have seen a chicken. I've got chickens here at home. I've seen how long it takes for a chicken to fully grow. However, I have been to a factory farm and I've seen those chickens grow before my very eyes. Their legs grow at an unbelievable rate. They're almost fully grown after a couple of months, yet their upper bodies have yet to catch up. It is not the same, people. It is not the same. So try to go organic, grass-fed whenever you possibly can. And remember, you want to go for produce that hasn't been sprayed in glyphosate and Roundup. The more that you consume these types of products, the more compromised your immune system is going to be. Now, number 5 is hot therapy. So you probably have seen me on my Instagram stories or my Instagram using an infrared sauna that I actually have at home here. So I'm usually in that sauna about 5 days a week. This produces heat shock proteins. So we have like folded proteins, we have folded bad DNA in our system, and the heat shock proteins can actually help us repair these damaged proteins, okay? And obviously it can help with chelation, or if we have binders that can help with chelation, then even better to help us remove ourselves of heavy metal contaminants, then sauna is it. So I suggest sauna whenever possible. If you can provide some other form of benefited heat to your body, whether it be a hot bath, sweating through exercise, then that's great as well. Number 6 would be cold thermogenesis. Now you could use a cryotherapy, you could have a cold shower. I like to do ice baths because it's convenient, and I have a cattle trough here. Now that actually helps stimulate and tone the vagal nerve, which is our flight or fight response. Everyone is freaking out at the moment. They're like gazelles, headless chickens going nuts. So I believe that if they were to have cold showers every day or ice baths or something like that, it may help calm their emotional response, because that's what the vagus nerve does. It allows us to fight or flight. But if you can tone that nerve, you are that much more emotionally stable. That's what I find anyway. That's that I'm sticking to that one. That's my justification for being such a cool cucumber. Number 7 will be sunlight, fresh air and grounding. Get outside. Of course, you may be quarantined, but if you have a field near you, if you can drive to the woodlands, get outside, get some sun. Number one, you want to have that vitamin D, which is a great immune builder. It's great to prevent immune compromisation. So get outside, have the sun, especially in the morning when you get exposed to the red rays, the healing red rays, and at dusk as well. If you do not have the availability to get out into sunlight, it doesn't have to be like hot sun. Yeah, you can live it in Wales and still get exposure to the daylight. Get out there, because it has such a restorative effect on your senses. It is unbelievable. Whilst you're out there, ground yourself, take your shoes off, earth yourself, absorb some of those negative ions that the lightning strikes into the ground, because we are so positively charged with EMFs and wavelengths that we want to absorb those negative ions from the earth. And obviously getting that fresh air as well. You don't want to be cooped up inside. A lot of the air inside our houses are contaminated from lacquers, from paints, from mattresses, from clothes, dust mites, etc. Get outside, purify your air in your house if possible anyway, but get outside. And if you cannot ground yourself, if you haven't got an earthy patch, then you can actually get earthing mats. I actually have an earthing bed sheet that I sleep on. I have an earthing mat that my feet are on at this precise moment to allow myself to earth myself, ground myself when I'm in the house. And I can actually put the link to these grounding mats in my show notes. And there is a discount code there as well. And it's the same with my sauna. I actually use an infrared sauna, and I can get you guys $500 off those purchases as well. And the same when it comes to your light, your sunlight. If you cannot get exposure to the sun, then biohack your environment like I did this morning. I actually exposed myself to an infrared panel so I could get that restorative red light inside my home and didn't have to wait for it to get light outside. Of course, you have to pay for that. There is an alternative for you to get it for free, and that is getting outside. Number 8. So EMF blocking. So if you are viewing this, you'll see that I actually have an EMF blocking phone case here. I actually have a pad that my laptop sits on that I usually utilize if it's on my lap, because I want to protect my balls. I want to make sure my testosterone levels aren't compromised. So I have EMF blocking phone case, EMF blocking laptop pad. I even have an EMF blocking fanny pack that my phone will go in. I do whatever I can to mitigate the compromising effects of constantly being penetrated by EMFs. I even have, from a company called Gethin's, EMF blocking boxer shorts. So I do whatever I can to mitigate that at nighttime. Switch off your Wi-Fi or put your phone on airplane mode whenever possible. You don't need to be compromised the entire time by the internet and connection. Number 9 is blue light blocking glasses and blocking blue light through photosynthesis. So a couple of hours before bed, when you're exposed to artificial light, I'll always wear my red lens blue light blocking glasses. During the day, sometimes if I'm exposed to a lot of artificial light, it will give me a headache. I wear the yellow lens. I use the red lens because it completely blocks out everything in the evening, but a little bit of artificial light or blue light is okay, because we do want our cortisol levels spiked a little bit during the day, particularly in the morning. So that's absolutely fine. But before bed, a couple of hours before bed, block it all out, because you will not be able to release the amount of melatonin needed for you to get a good night's sleep of REM and deep sleep cycles. So you want to block it out as much as you possibly can. I actually use a company called Blue Blocks. Again, I'll put the link and discount code in the show notes, but I'll also wear like pajamas in the evening or long sleeve and long trousers, because we do actually absorb light through photosynthesis through our skin. So I make sure that I cover myself up for a good couple of hours before bed. If you're somebody like me that's a light sleeper, it definitely helps. Let me see, what else do I have? So staying active, number 10. So staying active, getting out, ensuring that you're doing your cardio every single day. It doesn't have to be crazy workouts where you could possibly overtrain and then compromise your immune system, but activity every single day really does help circulate the bloodstream and clear out your lymph and a lot of toxins out of your body, which can be great for your immune system, obviously. Number 11, antiviral foods. So think about things like garlic, turmeric that are antifungal, antiviral as well. I like to have my apple cider vinegar in the morning with my greens juice, my reds juice, or reds powders and green powder, organic lemon juice, and cinnamon, maybe some garlic, maybe some turmeric in there for sure. So I have antiviral products in there. Number 12 would be fermented foods. So think of miso soup, fermented tempeh, sauerkraut, kimchi, goat's kefir, good fermented foods that can help with your good bacteria in your gut, because remember, we are more bacteria than we are DNA. Okay, so we are more bacteria than DNA. We have more bacteria cells than DNA cells. So it makes sense that you look after where your immune system response is situated, housed in your gut. So feed your gut with good bacteria. Fermented foods can really help with that. Number 13, drinking plenty of water. So if you do filter your water, maybe you have reverse osmosis water. I notice people at the supermarkets are going crazy filling up their jugs with reverse osmosis water, which is great for cleaning that water. But what about structuring it? What about remineralizing it? So maybe putting some, slices of cucumber in there. You can get some trace minerals, add some trace minerals. So you're remineralizing your calcium, your magnesium back into your water to help you stay hydrated as well. So I actually put electrolytes in my water as well. A lot of the time I have like hydrocharge in there just to ensure that I'm remineralizing my water as well to a certain degree. Let me see, and structuring your water. Like I said, structuring your water, maybe putting some cucumber slices in there or whatever. You can actually have structured water put in your house. Number 15, meditation and breath work. Everyone is freaking out, they're going crazy. Cortisol levels are going through the roof, which is not going to be good for your immune system. Staying calm, staying chilled, maybe using a guided meditation app or podcast every day. I actually have something called Silent Mode. Silent Mode is a guided breathwork app that you can utilize. But if you are good without the guided versions, and you can still go ahead and meditate and utilize breath work to the best of your ability every single day. Now, just because you don't pick it up as soon as you start doing it, doesn't mean that you shouldn't continue. Of course it's hard. Of course it's difficult. Just like training a muscle group, now you have to retrain your brain that is so used to distraction, scrolling, phone calls, conversation, TV. So now you have to clear your mind, which can take a long time, but it doesn't mean that you shouldn't give up, and it doesn't mean that you won't be able to accomplish that. So what do I have now? Number 16, stay away from media. So people are scrolling. It's the first thing that comes up in conversation. They switch on the news 24/7, coronavirus, the radio, YouTube, it's everywhere that you go. Look, it's on this podcast. But the thing is, there's a lot of negativity and fear-mongering that is going out there. Now, I do say be informed. Yes, you should be informed, but people are over-consuming media. And what sells? Negativity, shock, fear. It sells. It raises ratings. But people are being consumed by it. I've noticed people in tears, crying, freaking out. I'm very chilled. I'm not saying you should be like me, but try to balance your life. Look, be optimistic. Optimism is the way. This time will pass. It may get worse before it gets better, but it doesn't mean that you should get worse. So I'd say, try to mitigate your exposure to media as much as possible. Number 17, sanitize. So if you do go to the gym, if you do go anywhere, make sure that you do wipe down equipment before you go in. If you go to the supermarket, wipe down the shopping trolley handles before you go in, and when you're leaving as well. think about not only yourself, but other people as well. We are all coming together at this moment in time where we do need to unite. Sanitize whenever possible. Countertops, your hands, whatever touches surface area. Sanitize whenever you can, especially if you're on planes. You know, I try to wear long sleeve tops so my arms aren't exposed to the armrests or to the tray table that comes down in front of us, you know. And then smile. Number 18 is smile. Studies have proven when you smile, just smile. You don't have to smile at anybody, but try to smile at people if you do pass them. But whenever you feel stressed, whenever you feel a little anxious, when you're frustrated, just smile. And studies have shown that it can help alleviate you of a lot of the stress responses and hormones that are associated with depression and madness and fear, you know, so smile whenever possible. Number 19, I've actually, okay, this is not a sales pitch, but I want to tell you that I have released an ebook. I'm releasing it this week, actually, an ebook on how to work out at home. I actually wrote this in January. I didn't think that the coronavirus was coming, but I get bombarded with people asking me about at-home workouts. And a lot of people, you know, maybe are single mothers or just cannot get to the gym. And a lot of people at this moment in time cannot get to the gym. So I've actually put that at the top of my list. So that is going to be released now, free for Health Kick members. That's my website, and that is KIK Health, KIK.com. Free for members, however, it is available for a very cheap purchase price for people who are not members of my website. And also, I'm putting out workouts every single day this week for people to follow at home on Health Kick. And not only that, this morning I recorded exercises to do for your shoulders, your back, your biceps, triceps, legs, abs, everywhere within the home. I filmed that this morning, and that will be up on my Kris, Gethin, Gethin, Kris Gethin, YouTube for free for everybody to watch as well. Okay, so those are my 20 tips for you to follow and maybe apply some of them, if not all of them, during this time where we do have to unite, we have to come together. It is crazy, especially for me, and I'm sure there's a lot of people out there going through the same thing, where my family aren't even in this country. They're at home, they're in Wales, and my communication is you know, through Skype or over the phone. And of course there's worry there. You know, my parents, my father's in his 70s, and you know, he's going out and he's mingling with people. Of course I want to tell him to stay at home. He's probably not going to listen to me, but he's a smart guy. He's going to do whatever he can. But you know, of course it's going to make me worry, so I've got to do whatever I can to kind of ignore that to a certain degree. You know, not be naive, but you know, just try to do whatever I can to live my life, let them live their lives, and try not to control anybody to an extreme measure, because it can cause conflict at a time, like I said, that we do need to unite. Anyway, so guys, check out my YouTube for that video that will be going out. And if you are a member of my website, healthkick.com, you can check it out there. I've also been changing all of my VIP coaching clients through HealthKick, their programs, because a lot of people have not been able to train. A lot of my clients are in different countries and all the gyms have closed down. So I've been changing all of their workouts now and their programs for them to continue to evolve and make positive changes from home. So there's no excuses why you cannot either. My name is Kris Gethin. Thank you ever so much for listening to this episode of the Knowledge and Mileage podcast. Stay safe out there, you crazy kids.